Hi all, welcome back to my channel Learn with Girish. This is session 3 in the GitOps series, wherein we will look at how do we automate deployment of containers to Kubernetes cluster. In my previous session, we looked at what is Flux, how do we deploy apps using Flux, mainly using the customized controller and the Helm controller. I would be providing the links of that session in the description box in case you are interested. With that, let's look at today's agenda. We will look at the different image controllers, and also we will look at a quick demo which will depict the workflow using the image controller. Let's look at the image controllers in detail. So we have two of them. The first being the image reflection controller and the other one being the image automation controller. In image reflection controller, we have two custom resource definition or CRDs. The first being the image repository. Here with image repository, we can specify the specific container that needs to be scanned in a container registry. So the container registry can be a Docker Hub, or it can be Azure Container Registry, or it can be a registry with respect to a specific cloud. And with image policy, we can specify the version that needs to be deployed to Kubernetes. So in the version, we can specify wildcard characters and also a regular expression. So with both this image repository and image policy, we get a specific container and the version that needs to be deployed to Kubernetes. So this information is taken by the second controller, the image automation controller, and this information is written back to a Git repository wherein we store a deployment.yaml files which refers to a specific image container. To understand this better, let's look at a diagram over here. So here I have two Git repos, one for the app and the other one for the infra. So any changes to the app will trigger the CI, which will push the changes to the container registry. And here we have the controllers, the flux controllers, specifically the image controllers, which will look for a specific container and a specific version of that container and passes this information to the image automation controller, which will in turn write that specific image information to another Git repo, which would be the infra Git repo, specifically the deployment.yaml file. And once this image is overwritten, then the other controllers of Flux like Helm or customized controllers will take this information and then deploy the changes to the Kubernetes cluster. Let's look at a demo. So here I have set up the image controllers in my Kubernetes cluster. And what we will do is we'll push a change to a container registry, and then we verify the automatic deployment of those changes to Kubernetes. Let's look at the current setup. So let me go to VS Code over here. So all the image controller related files are stored it under a folder called image. So this is the same GitHub repo which I was using from the last two sessions. So in this, now I have integrated all the files with respect to image controller. Image repository, here I am referring to container which is stored in a Docker Hub. It's called as voting app, and also I have a secret created to refer to that container. And then comes the policies, where here we have defined a some version range. So it will look for the containers with this specific version. And then comes the image update automation. Here we are specifying the Git repo where the update has to be done, and the update would be done to a specific path which is app deploy. And if we go to the app deploy, here we have the apps over here. And if you see here, if you go to the frontend.yaml, so this is where we are referring to the container with this specific version 1.0.4, and we need to provide this comment, otherwise the update would not happen. And the other thing to note here is I have both the app as well as infra in the same repo, and it's not different as I shown in the diagram earlier, just for simplicity. So here I have the build pipeline, which will push uh, the changes to the container registry. And here is my app. If you see here, this is the configuration file. If you go to the app in Azure, so this is the hosting app which is being already hosted. Here I have all the component installed. If you see here, image repository, so it has done a scan and found 5 tags, and for image policy, it resolved to 1.0.4, which is the latest tag. And image update automation, it has done the update to the Git repository. So what we will do now is let's do a small change to our voting values. I will revert it back to cats and dogs. And before pushing the changes, one other change I would do is to bump up the version of the container. So once the changes are pushed to the main branch, we can verify the pipeline has run or not. So this is the pipeline, and if we see here, we see that it has logged into Docker Hub and then push the container to Docker Hub. So I am using GitHub Actions over here. We can go to Docker Hub and verify the version of the container, which is 1.0.5. We can also run the command flux get all and see if the synchronization of the controllers have happened or not. So if you see here in the image repository, it has scanned now and it has found 6 tags. Earlier it was 5 tags. And the image policy, with image policy, it had identified the new version. And here we see that the image update has also run. So this we can verify by going to our repo. If we go to app deploy and then go to frontend.yaml, you can see here the image version is updated. Now let's refresh the app over here and we should see the new values for the voting app, which is cats and dogs. Let's quickly summarize what we saw. So we looked at the types of different image controllers, and in the demo we saw how we can automate the deployment of containers to Kubernetes cluster. In my next session, I will try to cover few more controllers. Thank you for joining the session, and if you are new to this channel, please subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for more videos like this. Thank you.